Xicana'S Boxing here with a quick recap of this weekend's action, starting off with the one that I got wrong, which was Kazuto Ioka defeating Joshua Franco. Not only did he defeat him in the scorecards to gain the new championship at junior bantamweight, but Franco actually lost the belt before he even stepped in the ring, losing it to the scale, coming about 6-7 pounds over the weight limit. And he was blaming mental health struggles for his lack of preparation and for his loss this past weekend. And what makes me the saddest about that is that as he announced his retirement, he cited the fact that he was scared to come forward about his mental health crisis because he can see how the fans react to other fighters such as Ryan Garcia, Danny Garcia, and other people who have come forward to talk about mental health. He saw how fans react to that and didn't feel comfortable sharing that before announcing his retirement. And that's honestly really fucking sad. I really wish boxing fans understood that fighters are just normal people as well, with higher expectations, especially once they turn champion, and their mental health can definitely suffer from having to adhere to those expectations that other fighters and trainers and the fans have of them. So just really sad stuff that, you know, as he retired, he had to say, hey, you know, my mental health was not really okay. So I really wish Joshua Franco a great retirement. He's young. I hope he enjoys the fruits of his labor. He already accomplished what most fighters want, and that is to become world champion. And he did that, defended his title, and can now retire peacefully. As for Ioka, hey, put him against Martinez, who just defeated his opponent in this last week's Showtime card as well. So please, let's get those unifications going, because we know those little guys are not scared to fight each other. Bring it on. But let's move over to our Showtime card, which technically I got the main event prediction right, but not without controversy, because Carlos Adames did in fact stop JRock Williams. But the stoppage was a little premature, if you do ask me, and the majority of social media users who also agree that JRock seemed to be in spirits to keep going. Post-fight, Carlos Adames did tell Jim Gray that he feels that the referee stopped the fight because he could tell that he was about to finish off JRock, and he was, you know, going to get really hurt if he didn't stop it. But I just feel like it's not like he was wobbled out of his fucking mind, right? Like he was startled, but he was still fighting back. So while I do believe that it's a premature stoppage, I did have them as winning regardless. And hopefully the division gets, you know, kind of popped off a little bit better with him winning and hopefully fighting other guys at 160. And as I mentioned in my preview, I was most excited for the co-main event for the Showtime card, which was Lubin versus Arias, and that shit delivered. And I know I said it was a mid-off, right? But honestly, I think Lubin is a bit higher than a mid, right? Because yes, he's lost, but he's lost to champs or former champs, right? And even when he lost against Fedora, he did put him down, like I mentioned, right? So with this one, he came with a vengeance. He's like, nah, I'm still on a path to recover my career. And that he proved with a stoppage over Luis Arias. And luckily, Luis Arias, you know, he's used to not getting the go in his fights. So he didn't seem too down in his spirits. And he's going to keep trying. He's going to keep going. And good for him. But I really am excited to see Lubin with the rest of the division at 154. Maybe even 160 with what he's been tweeting lately. But even if he wins or loses, I do want to keep watching him fight because the boy can crack. And he's just fucking entertaining, honestly. And now, technically another one that I got wrong, but honestly, it's just not my fault that Berlanga can't fucking put away quickly. Who even Boo Boo Andre put down and knocked out, right? Like, it's not my fault. I'm sorry. That's not my fault. But, you know, as we know, Quickly was there to kind of be this sacrificial lamb for Berlanga to go back to his hashtag KO monster artist, right? But on Matchroom now. As we know now, he didn't deliver. He did get pretty close in the 12th round. He put Quickly down twice in the fight, but he didn't actually hurt him to the point where it warranted a stoppage or, you know, Quickly was really severely just fucking hurt, right? Like, he was wobbly and on wobbly legs, but he still kept going and he still kept throwing punches and on survival mode. And Berlanga just wasn't able to land the accurate follow-ups to put him down and keep him down. And honestly, like I tweeted last week, Top Rank really did Berlanga a disservice by like promoting him as some sort of KO artist, because with better opposition, we could tell that his punches just weren't having the same effect on even just these C-level guys, right? So these have been, he went from having, I believe, like 16 straight KOs to 5 decisions back to back, which is not a good look when you were constantly promoted as a KO artist. Now the DAZN guys are trying to, rebrand him as, he's just a young guy. He's just this guy who's a contender, and he's learning and he's following, which is like good. I do agree with that. I do agree that, he is still a contender. He's not a champion, right? He hasn't fought the best by any means or even gotten close to it. But also when you're already 20 fights in, my brother in Christ, you kind of have to, step it up. I actually believe that he has 18 fights, but still, he's close to the 20s. And it's like Verge Ortiz, Boots Ennis. Oh, Boots is actually older. Point is, a lot of these guys that are younger have taken on better opposition than Berlanga, especially because he was promoted as a KO artist. And it's like, he did say in the post-fight presser that he, in the 12th round, felt like he told himself, like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And he's going to now move forward as if it was following the 12th round. He's always going to be coming forward and letting his punches go. But that kind of just gave away his whole game plan to, like, the rest of the people who are hoping to fight him on Matchroom. So it's like, maybe you shouldn't have said all that. And also post-fight, Berlanga also was very defensive of his promoter, who is now Eddie Hearn, right? He was defending Eddie Hearn from, which to me was the most entertaining part of this weekend, honestly. Oscar's tweets against Eddie Hearn, Lonely Eddie or Lonesome Eddie or something like that. Well, Lonesome Hearn, I don't know. It's the hashtag, right? And Berlanga was like, I'll just let him say it.
Oscar he gotta shut his mouth, man. This is the best in the business. People don't understand, like, Eddie came from the UK. From the UK, he came from another side of the fucking world and came to the US and took over. You know what I'm saying? And he's taking it over so rapidly. So, De La Hoya is a crazy guy, man. He talks, one day he's your friend, the next day he want to talk shit about you. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you seen what happened with Canelo. Yeah, we was talking Canelo, but you seen what happened with Canelo. He signed a 3-fight deal with PBC. So, he's on another network now. So now it's like, all right, what the fuck we gonna do? So we got guys like Munguia, guys like Golovkin, guys like John Ryder that we can make happen quickly.
Eddie also responded to Oscar in the press conference, even though he had already messaged him back on Twitter, replied to him on Twitter, right? And this is what he said.
Oscar De La Hoya works for DAZN. So he's a fucking complete idiot, to be honest with you, because his job is to put on good fights for DAZN. And he hasn't really done that with Jaime Munguia, has he? I mean, he's probably the worst managed career I've ever seen in the history of boxing, Jaime Munguia. His opponent list has been awful, other than Derevyanchenko recently, who I know is your friend, but he's also a faded fighter. So what I'll do with Oscar De La Hoya is I'll speak to his bosses, and I'll come back to him.
And to me, it's funny because they're both kind of like are being, what other sport do you see guys doing this? Only in boxing do you see this, right? But it's kind of funny because now, with Berlanga and Eddie mentioning Munguia, who is honestly, even though he does get promoted by Golden Boy here in the States, his main promoter is Sanfed Boxing, right? Based out of Mexico. So with Berlanga mentioning a fight with Munguia, now Oscar's taking his pettiness to be like, no, I'm not giving you access to my fighter. Go fight people on your stable, is basically what he's saying. And he took to Twitter to brag about how the Munguia fight versus Benavides, could be an easy make because he's friends with Benavides. But honestly, perhaps what's the most crazy part about this whole pettiness of Oscar De La Hoya is that I believe that Munguia could actually beat Berlanga. Even though Munguia is also not the best with his defense, but he can crack, and he is he does have a better ring IQ than Berlanga and more experience than Berlanga, and I do believe he has more power than Berlanga, right? So I think it's like a 70-30 fight, but I do feel like Munguia can definitely beat Berlanga, right? That's like a good name to have on his resume to stop that hype train once and for all, and also add a nice name to his resume, right? But with Benavides, it's like, yeah, you're finally fighting the big fights that we're asking for as fans. But also, like, you're gonna get wrecked, brother in Christ, because David Benavides will just completely decapitate Munguia. And like, at what cost? At the cost of Oscar maintaining his pettiness? Like, what? And a couple of weeks back, we saw that Oscar and his girlfriend and Benavides and his fiance met for lunch in Vegas, or dinner in Vegas, right? So that kind of already established a friendship, a business relationship, which could very much so facilitate a fight between Munguia and David Benavides, which I'm pretty sure after watching his last performance, as we saw Benavides' dad, Benavides Sr., called Munguia in the press conference that was like, hey, we're interested in fighting you. Because I'm sure they're licking their fucking fingers after seeing Munguia's lack of defense, knowing the power that David Benavides has. Like, they're not dumb, right? And Oscar's now using this opportunity to be like, no, we're not giving you Munguia, Eddie Hearn. We're not letting you make more money or have better fights on DAZN, thanks to our fighters, even though, like Eddie said, that's what the contract with Golden Boy and DAZN is. But I digress. But please let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Munguia has a chance against Benavides if that fight gets made? Do you feel like it's better for him to go to Berlanga and beat him? Who do you want Adames to fight next at 160 and revive the division? Who would you like Lubin to take on next? Because he kind of hinted on already maybe moving up to 160. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think he should keep trying at 154? Are you excited for Martinez to maybe try to, after him winning on Showtime, now unifying with Ioka? What do you think of Franco's retirement? And just let me know your overall thoughts down in the comments below. But also, please, boxing fans, let's do better. Let's be better fans and people. And be more open-minded about athletes and their mental health struggles. And try to be more supportive to their needs, right? They're not only putting their lives at risk for us, but their mental health, okay? And I'll see you later. Bye.